here's the deal. Basically, I've already mopped the floor with Zen's bitch ass once on Politically Provoked about this topic, and I'm more than happy to do it again with superior rhetoric, intellect, and just general charisma. I'm going to expose Zen for the woman-hating, body-controlling, patriarchal fascist that he is. That's my opening statement. No. I wiped your ass, then I'm going to wipe your ass.
All right, let's do it then. Prove it. Do it again.
Did you say you wiped his ass?
I will what?
Did you say you wiped his ass in the first?
Yes, his baby back bitch ass had to get wiped.
Here's the kicker. I don't make arguments revolving around consciousness because I can't actually articulate what consciousness is precisely because it's just a metaphysical.
Right. So you hand wave it away. You say, I don't know how to talk about it, so I'm gonna ignore it entirely. Which is
no. That's exactly not what I said. I said I don't make arguments. I don't make arguments revolving consciousness. That's revolving around consciousness.
Okay, but that's ridiculous because it's like saying, hey, here is this metaphysical concept in which my entire religion and my entire conceptualization of the human experience is based upon. But because I can't articulate it, we're going to ignore it as if it has no relevance to the debate around abortion. The debate around abortion is 100% and completely and utterly, singularly about whether or not a fetus or something is conscious. Because if something is it's like, what's a life? It's like an ant is a life, human life. It's like, these are all, what would you say? Constructed terms, categories that, there's what would you say? Permeation in between those categories and stuff. These are not like metaphysical concepts, but consciousness is. And you're saying, well, I can't talk about it, so I'm going to ignore it completely. And I think that's silly. Hold on. Let me finish my rant. Let me finish my finishing move here. The reason I bring up you acknowledge that like surely you kill ants and mice and shit, and you don't think about it at all, right? You don't have any moral issue.
I'm not particularly in
fact, you probably enjoy killing, but I'm kidding. That's a joke. So you accept that there are some animals and mice, some mice and ants and shit that you don't. They're alive or whatever, but they're not conscious, and so you don't give them any moral consideration. And
it's not because they're not conscious. You understand that, right?
No, but it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. If they were conscious like humans were, you wouldn't do that.
No, you're literally straw manning me. Like this is a literal straw man.
If mice were conscious,
telling you that's not my position, and you're telling me yes, it is my position.
Well, because you're wrong. You're lying. If mice were conscious,
stop. Do you know where my moral foundations come from?
A fucking made up book.
Okay,
it's full of metaphors.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
but he never read it.
Yeah, you never even read it.
Nerds.
Big brain atheist says big.
Oh man, no. The only thing cringier than a fundamentalist is an atheist. All right, I'll tell you that right now.
Well, that's effectively what you are if you're rejecting the God of the Bible.
Oh, so you're strawmanning me. You're telling me what I believe.
Okay, so hang on. So
go ahead.
The foundation of my moral system does not revolve around consciousness. It doesn't revolve around sentient life. It revolves around human life. It revolves around human life, and then there's plant and animal life that we have dominion over. Okay, you understand that?
How about a dog?
It's not because it's a conscious or an unconscious life.
So do you think it's okay to kill a pet the same way you would kill a mouse?
It would depend on your reasoning for killing that. If you're doing it for food purposes,
no, it was just annoying. Like I kill mice because they're annoying. What if I had a dog and was just like, you know what?
Well, mice are generally pests, and they can wreak havoc in your household. So you could have an argument for that. So I mean, it's again.
So if I adopted a dog and then I thought, you know what, this dog's annoying me, so I'll just kill it. You think there is room for moral justification?
Well, it would depend on if that dog is literally. You can't just say, oh, the dog's annoying me, because a dog being a pest is different than a mouse being a pest.
Why?
And remember what I said in my opening statement. He's going to try to bring the conversation somewhere other than abortion.
No, this is fundamentally relevant.
I'll still address it. Okay. A dog being a pest is different than a mouse being a pest. A mouse is a pest because they will literally nest inside of your house, eat your food, leave turds everywhere, things like that. And
I've had some dog shit on my floor before.
A dog being a pest, typically we would say that the only thing worthy of putting a dog down is if they've actually attacked somebody, harmed somebody.
Now we're in the weeds. This is not what this is.
Mice don't do that, so it's a different conversation to be had.
This is all post hoc rationalization.
I kill it. Can we get back to the topic of abortion though?
Let me bring it back to the topic.
Yeah,
this is why I brought it up. Okay. My point is, every single person watching this knows full well that even though they can't specifically explain why, they can't put it into Ben Shapiro nerd shit terminology. There is clearly a qualitative fundamental difference between a human, a dog, an ant, and like a bacteria, right? And it's all life, and it all abides by the nerd shit principles of life that you would cite, whatever 8 of them are. They're all principles of life. And yet there is some quality about these living creatures that is fundamentally different, and we call it consciousness. And like you said, we can't, make metaphysical claims about it. And I'm saying that concept is the fundamental question, because whether or not a fetus is conscious or can experience consciousness or something approximating like that, that is what is, in my opinion, determines whether or not it is moral or immoral to terminate it. And so hold on, wait, here's the headshot. You saying, well, I can't really make claims about consciousness because it's so mysterious and metaphysically, crazy. I agree. All right. But your solution then is we're just going to ignore it in a debate. Well, we can't talk and we can't make arguments about it. So we're just going to say it's not relevant to the debate.
Stop. I'm not ignoring.
It's over. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
I'm saying we don't make hang on. No, stop. We don't make prescriptions regarding. You sound like TFJung, dude. You do. He declared victory in that debate like 15 times. Anyway, stop.
I would love.
I'm not saying we just ignore consciousness.
Atheist ass.
I'm saying being that we are not able to pinpoint precisely what consciousness is ontologically speaking, and specifically because it's a metaphysical concept, we shouldn't prescribe our policies around that. We should err on the side of caution and say that even though this being could be conscious or not conscious, we are commanded by my moral prescription to not kill, to not murder. And regardless of if a human being is conscious or not, you kill it, you've still murdered it. One last thing to say, if somebody's asleep in a coma under anesthesia, whatever it may be, in a vegetative state, they're not conscious. Mm-hmm. Would it be okay to kill them?
No, but if you had to give a heart transplant and the only 2 people that could get it were like someone who was conscious and someone who was in a vegetative state.
I don't need all this explanation.
Yes, well, of course not, because it would disprove your ridiculous.
You said no. Was your answer to that question no? You said
I don't answer stupid questions.
No, you answered it. It was like, I think it was actually the definition of a gishgab. You said
I was making your question better and then answering it.
So you said that it would still be wrong to kill somebody who's in a coma, who's not conscious, even though they don't meet your standard of moral consideration. Why is that?
It would be less wrong to kill the person in the coma versus someone who's not alive or someone who is conscious.
It would be less wrong to kill them in a coma.
So for example, if someone's in a vegetative state and they're brain dead, and I only had one heart to give, and it was either this person in a coma or someone who was you, as much as I hate to admit it, son, if there was only one heart available and you needed it, or this person in a vegetative state needed it, I would say it is unequivocally immoral to give the heart to the person in a vegetative state because they do not have consciousness in the same way.
Okay, so what if the person in the vegetative state is like instead of that dichotomy you propose, let's say that the person in the vegetative state is only in it temporarily and they will regain consciousness, or we're relatively certain that they will regain consciousness at some point in the future, and they'll go on to live a happy, healthy life.
Yeah.
And you either have the choice to, cut them limb from limb and kill them or not. What's the moral option?
Generally speaking, I would recommend people don't cut people limb from limb and kill people.
Right. So cutting a human being limb from limb and killing them, regardless of if they're conscious or not, is wrong, right?
Depends on how you define human being.
Oh yeah, human being being a living
sperm that fertilizes
a living organism that contains a unique genetic code that is of the genus species Homo sapien.
That's nerd shit. There's no reason. Again, there is.
That's just a scientific classification. This is such an anti-intellectual response you just gave. That's nerd shit.
Here's the point.
You're talking about me hand-waving arguments.
If you are trying to unironically trying to tell me, Paul, the moment that a sperm fertilizes an egg, and someone, let's say in the most extreme example, because you're the moral objectivist and God's law is, unbreakable or whatever. So let's take the plan B example, because that's the most extreme example. It's the edge case, but it's still within your moral framework. I get it. Yeah. You're telling me, this is, you can spout all your rationalizations and all your stuff that you picked up in audiobooks, I guess, because you don't read books, all you want. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you're going to try and tell me look, Paul, you know, the way that I've defined these terms, murder and human life, the way that let's do this. I could agree to your terminology. It is someone who took a Plan B pill and stopped a zygote from getting fertilized. That's murder. Like that, a zygote is a human life, and that's murder. But the problem is, I would be lying it would be dishonest of me to accept your framing, because if I were to accept that framing, that would mean I would have to honestly believe that a woman who drowns her own 3-year-old in the bathtub has committed an equivalent act of evil to someone who took a pill after a one-night stand.
No, that would just make you consistent.
I would rather be that would make me consistent. I would rather be an anti-intellectual
no, you already are an
PFJungian than a fucking lying person who also happens to be consistent. If accepting your moral framework requires me to lie, but I get to be internally consistent, it's like great.
No.
You
accepting my moral framework is actually the truth. Because
logical consistency is not the same thing as truth.
So you fundamentally reject the claim that human life begins at conception, correct?
Probably.
Okay, then when does it begin?
I don't know.
In order to falsify a proposition, you have to present its negation. So what's the alternative?
Yes. Here's when I think it is immoral to abort a fetus.
No. When does human life begin? That's the question right now. The proposition I've given is that it begins at conception.
Yeah.
You have to.
Okay, that's arbitrary.
You have to. Okay, you call it arbitrary, but you have to present its negation. You have to present the alternative, or just present the falsity.
It's about when it can start to feel pain. I believe the feeling of pain is a precondition for consciousness, and I think when a fetus has a nervous system, which is around, I think the 8 to 10 weeks or something like that, then it should be illegal.
It's like 3 weeks actually.
We'd have to review the literature on that one, but
it starts to develop at about 3 weeks.
You know what? If and Zen, because I'm unbelievably good faith and I like you and I respect your moral framework, if you were to present evidence that a baby or a fetus had the capacity to feel something we would reasonably describe as the feeling point of pain, then I would say at that point, abortion should be illegal. But it's not going to be at the moment the sperm fertilizes the egg, because it can't feel pain.
But I wouldn't. Hang on. But I was just responding to your claim that it begins at 8 to 10 weeks, because that's just wrong.
In your moral framework that you've arbitrarily put forward as the truth,
whether it's 3 weeks or 8 weeks or 10 weeks, I'm just going to tell you that that's not what a human is. It doesn't need to have.
I know what you're going to say. I know.
Hang on. Are you making the claim that a life requires a nervous system?
No, I'm making the claim that.
What's your claim here?
In my philosophical framework that I have developed after many years of studying religion and taking psychedelics in legal circumstances and a variety of other personal experiences.
Wow, you take psychedelics, bro?
I believe it is reasonable to say that a fundamental precondition for consciousness is the ability to feel pain. I do not believe that a conscious being is conscious unless they have the capacity for pain. It's my philosophical worldview. We could sit back and say, these are my reasons for it and blah, blah, blah. And maybe that would be interesting. But the point is that my perspective, that the ability to feel pain is a precondition for consciousness, is just as arbitrarily imposed on the world as yours is. And yours is, and you say, well, but mine says the Bible or whatever, and it's logically consistent or something like that. It's like, cool. You've provided me no reason for me to accept it.
Okay, so
if I shove psychedelics down your throat, I can damn well tell you'd accept mine.
Okay, you're probably right, because what that does is that clouds your judgment.
Does it?
It makes you retarded. It does.
Oh my god!
So no, I'm serious. It does. So if you told me, hey Zen,
would you like to meet the person that wrote the Bible that you constantly
you'll probably end up agreeing with me. You're probably right, because it makes you fucking retarded. Okay, so anyway,